It's Friday, which means time for another episode of The Mandalorian on Disney+. Let's talk about it. How's everybody? So as I just said, Season 2, Episode 4 of The Mandalorian is upon us. Thank you as always for checking back each week to talk to Mandalorian with me on the channel. I really do appreciate all that and talking about it with you guys each week, even if I have to stay up super late to talk about it with you guys. But yeah, I thought that last week's episode was pretty great. It was probably my favorite episode of the season so far. We're actually at the halfway point of Season 2 right now with Episode 4. The plot is trudging forth. We're still trying to get the child back to his home world. We're going place to place. This past episode, we ran into Bo-Katan and her crew, which I love seeing her and her crew in live action. If you want to see all my thoughts on the last episode, I will leave a link in the description if you want to check out all my full thoughts. But yeah, she's back. She helps Mando out. They help each other out, really. She gave some really fun info on where to go next because she says to Mando, go to the city of Caladan on the forest planet Corvus. There you'll find Ahsoka Tano, which, if you're a fan of the extended universe stuff, the Clone Wars and Rebels, you know exactly who Ahsoka Tano is. And that's pretty awesome, I feel. And just like last week, this is once again another quite short episode. It's clocking in under 40 minutes long. I know that the episode lengths are going to differ throughout the season, but I was quite shocked to see back-to-back quite short episodes, especially with this one also kind of feeling more fillery than some of the other episodes we've gotten this season. Carl Weathers, Greef Karga himself, is actually the director for this episode, and I actually wasn't really aware till recently that he was directing anything. I didn't realize that he had actually directed a fair amount of TV stuff over the last 20-30 years, but I think this was actually some pretty solid work from him overall. Even if it was a bit disappointing that we got another side adventure before we get to the main storyline again, there were some key bullet points in this episode to actually drive some of the plot points forward. We pretty much have to wait until the next episode more than likely to get to the Ahsoka Tano stuff, as the Razor Crest can't actually make it to Ahsoka Tano, so we get to go to good old Navarro to see Greef Karga and now Marshal Cara Dune. They've become a Marshal since the last time we saw her last season. I did really like their characters from the previous season, so it is nice that we're going to get to see them from time to time, every now and then throughout the course of the series. Actually, there were a lot of callbacks in this episode to Season 1 of The Mandalorian and also other different Star Wars episodes, because they name drop Coruscant a couple times, and just other fun little nods to things that happened in Episode 4 and also Return of the Jedi. That is one of the things I like about The Mandalorian, is all the different callbacks that Jon Favreau writes into the storyline. The main story thread of this episode is a heist at its core. It's Mando, Cara Dune, Greef Karga, and also Mythrol, the guy that was put in carbonite in the first episode of the entire series. He's back, and they're all going to go on a heist to take out this last Empire base, because it's the last one on Navarro. Sadly, once again, like the last episode, the child cannot go along on this adventure, so he has to get put in a sort of daycare classroom situation, which makes for some very adorable moments from the child once again. There was actually one before I didn't mention where Mando and the child are trying to work on the wires in the Razor Crest, and that was absolutely adorable to me, but also the adorable moment where they're in the classroom and the child is at his desk, and he uses the Force to take this kid's macarons. I thought that was so cute. They kind of are his only main contributions to this episode, but the child's adorable. We get some adorable moments in this episode like we do in most episodes. I actually did really like the heist, because I think they pulled it off quite well. The action scenes, whether it's actually in this area, in the confined spaces against the stormtroopers, or when they're out in the open later on in the fight scenes, I actually think they do a really good job here. I think Carl Weathers did a really good job with the action scenes in this episode, because you got hand-to-hand elements with Cara Dune earlier on in the episode, you got battles in the air, you got battles with the speeder bikes. It's pretty cool stuff here. I actually like the action probably the most out of anything in this episode. The big revelation here was when we get to these pods and we actually see a message from Dr. Pershing's to Moff Gideon that this is actually a lab where they're trying to make experimental versions of the child to try and make like an army of them, it seems like. That was really interesting. I kind of figured that we were going to go down that route. It seemed like that's why Moff Gideon wanted him so badly and why Moff Gideon still wants the child so badly. But Mando gets to use his epic jetpack once again. We don't get to see him use it too often, but I always love when he does use it. But while that's going on, Cara and all them, they're actually in that getting chased by the speeder bikes and also the TIE fighters from the air. And the Razor Crest comes in and saves the day. The Razor Crest is finally fixed. It feels like it's been forever since that thing has actually been fully functional, but the air battle was actually quite awesome. I actually love the air battle between the Razor Crest and the TIE fighters. And it's kind of happy ending because Mando and the child fly off in the Razor Crest, probably to actually find Ahsoka Tano next week. But there's a little stinger, of course, because you have to have a stinger. And it's revealed that there's a tracker on the Razor Crest, so Moff Gideon is going to chase them down. And as it panned out from that shot of Moff Gideon, it almost looked like there was like an army of Death Troopers along the wall. They look like Death Troopers, they may not be, they might be Dark Troopers for all we know, but from that little tidbit that we did get, I mean, it could be anything, it could be something new, but I think that they look like Death Troopers to me. But yeah, that was an interesting episode. It was another filler episode just to get, you know, something to tide us over before we get back to the main storyline. We're about halfway through this episode, and it doesn't really feel like it's a very long season in the sense that if we didn't have these 1 or 2 filler episodes already, this season would be even shorter than it already is. But I actually am having a fun time with these filler episodes for the most part. At least the filler episodes are still entertaining. I mean, let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of this episode of The Mandalorian? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of all of the revelations in this episode with potential clone, the child's coming in maybe in the future if Moff Gideon gets his hands on him? What do you think of all the other characters in the episode? What do you think is going to happen next? Will we get Ahsoka Tano next week? Either way, leave a comment in the comment section down below. I like to talk about all things movies and TV on the channel. Thank you as always for checking my videos. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you like it, the subscribe button. We'll keep dating reviews, show reactions, unboxings, and more. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.